This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us.
You've probably heard people around you say it, and maybe you've even said it yourself. My vote doesn't really count. Well, today we'll talk about your part in this republic and how you can make a difference. This is the CitizenLink Report. Hi, I'm Kim Trobee, and I'm joined today by Tom Minnery, president of CitizenLink. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Kim.
Always good to have you here with me. Well, this system of government that we have is no fluke. It's not a mistake. Tell me about that.
Well, it isn't. It was designed to be difficult. It was designed to be hard to get things done. And so people who are looking ahead at the elections this year are thinking, oh man, it's so disappointing. I don't even want to vote. Stay in there, hang with it, and I think that progress will emerge. The founders set things up this way. They knew that the hearts of people were corrupt. They knew that men and women would tend to want to arrogate power unto themselves. And so what they did was they separated the powers. You've got the judiciary, you've got the executive, you've got the legislative branches of government. And then within the legislative branches, you've got lower house, which is supposed to be closer to the people, upper house, the Senate, which isn't, a little bit more remote. They're supposed to be a little bit more thoughtful. Not always are they. Anyway, they've got to fight to get things done. Many times, they have to compromise, and today compromise is a dirty word, and politicians who move the ball forward many times have to settle for less than what they believe. And those of us who are voters saying, oh, they compromised. Why can't they stand for principles? I'm so sick and tired of these politicians, but it's the founders that you have to be putting the blame on, because they understood that competing interests can probably stave off corruption more than any other system.
Now, I don't know that I have ever thought about this system being put in place by the Founding Fathers to be difficult on purpose. That's a really new concept. But I have heard many people say we can't get anything done in government, but that's not necessarily true. Not
always. As it happens, our current era of politics is so polarized. The Democratic left and the Republican right are at odds, and there's a big chasm between the principles of the two. So it is difficult for them to agree, and that's why we've had such horrible stalemates. Some of us would say that's great. If they can't get anything done, that's probably better for the country. But the problems are huge. They're getting worse. And Republicans stand a chance of taking over the Senate as they now hold the House, because people are so disappointed with the Obama administration.
Now, Tom, I've heard you talk about a concept called the lesser of two evils. Talk to me a little bit about what you mean by that.
There are perfect candidates, but perfect candidates, according to our views, probably cannot win. And so it's always the lesser of two evils. Those candidates who emerge as victorious politicians many times disappoint us one way or another.
Another thing that you often say is that people look for the ideal and instead of the reality. And in politics, we're definitely working with the reality and not the utopian concept.
That's true. And many times in this era in which politics is polarized, in which rhetoric is very harsh, people who are decent people tend to become villains. Let's take, for example, a leader who gets a lot of criticism these days, and that's House Speaker John Boehner, a Republican. He is vilified by those on the right, people in the libertarian framework, people in the Tea Party environment. They don't like him because he tends to cut deals sometimes, and they don't think he stands strong enough. Now contrast him with a politician who is, say, 100% on the issues that we believe here at CitizenLink are important: life, marriage, religious liberty. Isn't there such a politician who can stand perfectly strong on our issues? Yes. His name is John Boehner. For about the last 10 or 12 years, he has cast 100% of his votes correctly on those issues that I mentioned. Now, sometimes he does not vote because, as House Speaker, he doesn't want to vote sometimes for arcane House rules reasons, but he's a solid social conservative. You would not know that because of the harsh criticism that a lot of conservatives level at John Boehner. That's because he's got an outpost there. He controls the House of Representatives. He has to fight every day against the Senate, controlled by Harry Reid, and against President Obama in the executive branch. And so he's not able to do as he wishes, to get done what people want him to get done. Therefore, those people who are upset with government, excuse me, tend to criticize him. And that's just the lay of the land. That's our political system today.
You know, Tom, I was working here at CitizenLink on election night in 2012, and you know, you could just feel the disappointment as the night wore on and as we lost more and more races and more issues. What do you say to people who are watching today who are just worn out with all of it?
Sometimes, Kim, it's our evangelical theology that says, well, it's going to get worse and worse until Jesus comes. Well, that's true ultimately. Who knows when? Politics more often is an ebb and flow. Sometimes politics proceeds toward our principles, sometimes it flows away from our principles. I think we're in an encouraging time based on our principles because I think the country has been seeing left liberalism as embodied by President Obama's policies, and they're turning away from it. So I think our side is on the upswing. Now, what does that mean? That means it's likely that we'll take the Senate back, control the House and Senate. Still a lot of frustration because of the president being in place, and so people need to stay with it. People need to know that a big victory in 2014 for the conservative values only means 2016 becomes important because the presidential race is going to be in full force right after Election Day 2014.
So the message is that when it comes to politics, this is a marathon, not a sprint, and we have to keep putting one foot in front of the other every 2 years to make a difference.
Even more important than that, Kim, for we who are Christians, it's a duty. Romans 13, the first several verses essentially says, honor the governing authorities. The first way we honor governing authorities is to participate in the government by voting, and so it's a duty, and we must stay with it.
All right, thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
You know, we appreciate all of you who have written in to tell us what you're thinking about the topics that we address. You can always send us an email. The address is mail@citizenlink.com. That's mail@citizenlink.com. And we want to remind you to continue to pray for our nation, pray for our elected officials, pray for the upcoming elections. And remember to stay in there. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And as always, stand tall and be heard.